Welcome back, Grappling Bulletin podcast. Myself, Hal Teagan, Corey in the studio after a short break. Our last episode, if I remember correctly, was the post-IBJJF Worlds breakdown, and we took a little break because I went on vacation. Very rare and very hard, very well earned after a pretty hard period there with a lot of some busy events. But we have another big event breakdown, as is the title of the show. Because the ADCC trials, the last ADCC trials went down in Sydney, Australia last weekend, right?
It did, yeah. It kept me up all weekend for some really exciting jiu-jitsu.
You stayed awake for that?
I did, 4 a.m., 4:30.
Good thing you're a night owl.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Definitely paid off for me on this because I got to see some great action from a lot of the Australian and Asian competitors out there.
Well, we're going to get into it in just a second. We're going to break down the various performances and the real standouts, of which there were a couple. But before we do that, just give me your overall impressions. What did you think of the event and what stood out to you?
The level, I think, we've talked about this in the European trials as well, but the level is just increasing, right? There's so many athletes that clearly are head and shoulders above everybody else in the division, right? Most of the winners had all submissions on the road to the finals. The wrestling really developing from both the Asian and Australian competitors. The level is high.
There you go. See? So the level of jiu-jitsu and grappling is not quite as distorted as it once was, because especially in previous years, ADCC trials always highlighted the difference between the regions, right? And the ADCC trials winners coming out of Asia and Oceania, they were always seeded among the lowest because the trials were considered to be the easier to win. Well, I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's necessarily the case for any of the trials anymore. Of course, North American, South American always get sort of priority when it comes to the seeds. But it's really cool to see Europe and the sort of, let's say, the Pan-Asian, Oceania kind of region catching up. So, let's dive in, because we got the first competitor that we wanted to mention, the under 99 kilogram division winner, moving up. And how light was he?
He weighed in, he said, the day of at 84 kilograms. So that's about 30 pounds under the cap.
So Izaak Michell was 30 pounds under the weight division, and yet he went in and he scored 5 out of 6, 4 out of 5.
3 out of 4.
Oh, excuse me, 3 out of 4. There you go. A 75% submission rate en route to winning the gold medal. So Izaak Michell of B Team, you've seen him a lot. He is one of the cast members on the current season of Who's Next. And Izaak has just become the third participant in that series to win a gold medal at the ADCC trials and punch their ticket to compete at the World Championships in September. He joins Jay Rodriguez, also of B Team, and Dan Manasoyu of New Wave Jiu-Jitsu, who are both also based here in Austin, Texas. I've actually lost count now, but the number of ADCC World Championship competitors who call Austin their home base, it's well into the double figures,
yeah,
right?
There's 16 of them, I think. We counted out yesterday. 16 Austin-based athletes headed to ADCC.
So there you have it. See, Austin really is the San Diego of Nogi. It's like becoming the hub here in United States. But let's get into Izaak's performance, and we've got a great little highlight video that we can run while we're talking about this. Because Izaak, if you've been watching the show, if you've been watching Who's Next, you'll have seen that Izaak has got some really nice jiu-jitsu, very slick, very versatile, and there is Craig Jones right there on Matt's side, coaching Izaak step by step through this. And there's a lot of similarities in the game, right?
Yeah, Izaak is leg lock heavy, but he's got great wrestling, and most of the time that his opponents attacked his legs throughout the event, he turned on the back attack. He turned on his back attack game, but I think maybe the most similar is the let's call them cheeky submissions, right? We'll see in a second. The Ezekiel from the mount. According to Craig, he put a bounty on those for the weekend.
See, you call it a cheeky submission. I know Craig Jones has got another word for it. He calls them good old-fashioned bullshit submissions, and he's really good because he has actually made these submissions legit. And is it right that he had a bet with Izaak?
From what I heard, Craig put a bounty on bullshit submissions for all of their competitors, right? For every B Team competitor to hit Nogi Ezekiels or submissions like that, there'd be some cash prize.
I wonder how much that was, and I wonder what the list of submissions was, because I know that the Nogi Ezekiel was one, and Izaak scored that from the mount. I wonder if wrist locks were on the list. I wonder what else, these bullshit submissions. But no, Izaak had a really solid performance, and this is the kind of the sequence there. Beautiful work getting into the mount, and then you can see him going. It's not a great angle. We'll have a better angle of that when our freelancers in Australia send us the video clip from the other angle. But the Nogi Ezekiel. But then I think one of the things that stood out to me most was the final against Anton Minenko, who is a very tough and very maybe a little underrated or unknown competitor based out of Australia. I've seen him compete on the world stage now for a few years, and I've always been very impressed. But this was the one match that Izaak didn't submit. But man, his wrestling looks so good.
Yeah, and exactly what we expect, I think, from B Team. If you've watched any of their training footage, any of the rounds with Nicky Rod or J Rod, they're looking to get to the back and looking to use those duck unders to set up the openings to get to the back. It's almost exactly what we see him do in training all the time. And Minenko, as you said, no slouch. Minenko also had all submissions on the way to the final.
Wow, there you have it. So he took silver, but Izaak, I think this is the super duck right at the end. Literally last 20 seconds in the match, and he goes straight into the mount off that takedown as well. Absolutely beautiful performance there from Izaak Michell. Looked so good in taking the gold, and like we said, punching his ticket to the ADCC World Championships in September. The funny fact about the B team actually is that if you look now, the majority of the guys, Nicky Rod, Craig, Izaak, Damien, they start every round from standing now. Because they felt that was for not all of them, of course. Maybe somebody not like Nicky Rod or Damien, they have great wrestling, but a few of the other guys, they felt that they needed to catch up, and then that's why they've been investing so much in their stand-up, and the results speak for themselves.
Speaking of B Team, Izaak's victory makes him the 6th member of B Team to be going to ADCC.
That ties them with Atos for the most number of competitors, possibly.
Sounds right.
Because I think Atos was leading the way with the most number of competitors. I think B Team now may well be right on the same level.
New Wave also right up there as well.
About 5, I think.
Maybe 6.
Maybe 6. So you got Gary Tonon, Giancarlo, Taza, technically Merigali.
Big Dan and Luke.
Big Dan, Luke, Gordon. Oh, there you go. Okay, wow. Some of these teams sending some squads out to the ADCC Worlds. Well, we got a quick interview with Izaak. Let's take a quick listen to this, and then we'll be back to recap the rest of the performances.
Yeah, so my opponent, Anton Milenko, actually started jiu-jitsu in the same gym as him, Aruda BJJ, back in Adelaide. And he always used to beat me up, and this is the first time we competed. And I knew he was going to be tough. I knew he liked to stand, so I was ready to stand and wrestle. I've been wrestling a lot with some of the boys from Penn State, Jason Nolf and Gino. They've been coming down to B Team in Austin, so really working my wrestling. I decided to do the 99 division. I'm actually weighed in at 84 kilos today, but we already had J-Rod and Craig Jones in 88, so we decided as a team I'd do 99, and maybe we'll switch around coming into September. But yeah, I'm super stoked to come away with a victory. I want to dedicate the win to my wife. She's sacrificed a lot for me to go over to America about a year ago. Trials kept getting pushed back and back and back, and had to be over there trying to get an athlete visa and immigration issues, a whole bunch of stuff. So it worked out in the end, and yeah, heading back to the B Team soon, be back with all the boys there, so super excited for that.
Excellent work. And so there might be a change of weight come World Championships time in Las Vegas. How do you see yourself going? How do you see yourself that playing out for you?
I think if we do a switch, it'll be Craig at 99. I think he has a better style for those boys in 99. I think he can leg lock pretty much everyone in that division, and he's got a great style for that division. I think 88, there's a lot of guys that want to stand, stall out, wrestle, and that sort of style of fighting. So I think I'll be more suited for 88 division, and same with J-Rod. He comes from a wrestling background, so I think that's what we're going to do.
If you didn't recognize him, by the way, our interviewer for that video is the famous, none other than the one and only Sonny Brown. Sonny Brown Breakdown. So you may have seen the SB on his t-shirt. But that is also a good point that Izaak mentioned, that I forgot the number of high-level wrestlers that they've actually been getting going into the B team. And like you said, Gino Morelli, Jason Nolf, and among others. Yeah, that's access to some pretty high-level takedown stuff right there.
Yeah, Austin, as we said at the beginning, just really attracting not just jiu-jitsu athletes, but grapplers of all kinds.
Yeah, big destination. Just a few comments here on the YouTube. You got Jonathan Jones say that Izaak look untouchable. Yeah, I don't disagree. Also saying that we might as well host the tournament in Austin. I'm not against that idea. Maybe 2024, maybe see if we can persuade them. It'd save us the travel. So, and let's move on, because another one of the trials winners, this is the only one to have a 100% submission rate at this particular trials, was Jeremy Skinner. So Jeremy Skinner won the under 66 kilogram division, and as the headline says it all. I mean, he tapped everybody out.
Yeah, that makes him one of just 6 athletes in this 2021-22 season who have had a 100% submission rate in their tryout final.
So when you say 6 athletes, that's across all of the ADCC trials: Europe, North America, South America, and Asia Oceania.
Yeah, exactly. So out of the 7 trials, Jeremy Skinner is one of just 6 people.
So who else is on that list? Who are the other people to have had a 100% submission rate at trials?
Mika Galvao, Gutenberg Pereira, Roosevelt Souza, Jeremy, Owen O'Flanagan, and J-Rod.
Wow, that is a pretty impressive list. So Jeremy, I feel them. People already knew who he was. You've seen him in action. He's taken super fights on big events such as Grapple Fest. He's always been out there and he's been active, and he's known as one of the better lightweight leg lock guys out of Australia. He hasn't had quite the international attention as maybe some of the other big names, because he's still based there, and anybody who's been in Australia has basically been in a giant prison colony for the last couple of years, right? Because of the problems with travel and so on. So I think Jeremy's made a bit of a statement there. And while, like I said earlier, the Asia and Oceania trials winners have always had a pretty, kind of rough go, and they always get seeded really low, and they always get faced off with a really tough guy first round at ADCC. He's made a statement that he's not just another guy to make up the numbers.
Yeah, and in that 66 kilogram division, there aren't very, very many people who are there to make up the numbers, right? Even the trials winners from Europe, from South America, from North America, everybody in that division is a killer. But Jeremy coming in with a 100% submission rate is raising his hand and saying, I deserve to be here, and I deserve whatever match I get.
That 66 kilogram division is looking just ridiculous now, I've got to say. So right now, I want to say there's 15, like he was the 15th confirmed participant in that division. That means there's one invite left. And he joins names such as fellow trials winners: Ashley Williams, Sam McNally from Europe, Cole Abate, Keith Krikorian from North America, Diogo Hayes, Fabricio Andre from South America. And then the guys who were invited: Kennedy Maciel, Gabriel Souza, Ethan Krellinston, Gio Martinez, Pato, Ruan Alvarenga, AJ Agazam, Josh Cisneros. That is just an absolutely bonkers division. 66 kilos, looking a lot of fun. And I'm looking stylistically as well. How do you think that Skinner matches up with some of the guys on that list?
I mean, everybody at 66, if they don't have a pronounced leg lock game, they all have a game for leg locks, right? They can play with him, or they can kind of get out of the threats. I see it being a little bit more of a challenge for Jeremy Skinner, but one thing we saw is if he was in leg lock shootouts, he got the better of it every time. His knee bar was slick. He managed to pull off at least 2 of those. He might suffer in the wrestling if it comes to that, but my guess is that he's not going to want to let it get that far.
Yeah, well, this is a little glimpse at Skinner's performance at the ADCC trials in Sydney, Australia, and the 100% submissions that he scored. Well, there's the answer. What happens if somebody shoots on him? You're right. Wrestling is much more of a factor at ADCC events than maybe anywhere else. And we know that he has a lot of experience in submission-only format and such. But, the first guy to shoot on him in the opening round match got guillotined for his trouble. So, but he's known as a leg lock guy. And let's talk a little bit about the techniques, because we're both kind of been playing a lot of leg game, right? And I know you've been really invested in the no-gi leg lock game for a while. What do you make of Skinner's attacks and how he sets up his submissions?
He's really got an intricate setup. He's attacking both legs all the time. He seems to prefer that inside Senkaku or even the outside ashi there. But I was really surprised by just how he turned on that knee bar so quickly.
In the final? You'll see that now in just a second, actually. Yeah, you're right. That did surprised me because I thought that, okay, yeah, he's going for heel hooks. It's no surprise really what he's going for. This was the semi-final match against Ariel Tabak, I believe. Hard to see this one, but another heel hook. But yeah, take a look at this. Take a look at this knee bar now, just coming up. Got to get that claim in first, but here it is. Take a look at this knee bar. Talk us through it.
Yeah, Jeremy, here against a strong leg locker of his own right, but he forces the turn out of his opponent and then kind of accepts the turn and eats the knee.
Very interesting, because it wasn't like a traditional knee bar setup. It was a little bit almost loose looking as well, but the hips were right on top of that kneecap and just perfectly positioned for when you said he forced the turn. His opponent just went straight into it.
Exactly.
Well, powerful performance from Jeremy Skinner. We have a quick interview clip with him as well, post-match interview. Take it away.
I'm here with under 66 kilograms trials winner for Australian Oceania region, Jeremy Skinner. Jeremy, it was an electric final. You and Dave trading heel hooks back and forth. Take me through the overtime finish that you managed to secure.
Yeah, so just something we worked on in training is like a bit of an unorthodox way of setting up leg locks, like from outside Ashi, just like spinning to the outside. Dave, I train with Dave like he's my main training partner. Like when I'm out at Sydney West, so he knows what I'm going for. So he like went to go turn the other way, and I managed to like snag a knee bar as he went through. I probably could have let go of it a little bit faster, but just like in the moment, it's hard competition to like sort of hold back. You want to go all in and make sure that you win.
So I must feel pretty tough to have to face off you. Not just your teammate, but your actual training partner in the final of ADCC trials. But it happens. It does happen. But no closeouts there. I love that.
Great to see.
The third trials winner of the 7 who qualified that we wanted to highlight was Kenta Iwamoto of Japan. And Kenta, well, he's the first competitor on this list, I believe, Corey, to be going back to ADCC.
Yeah, he won the trials back in 2019. I think also took second in 2015, but he won in 2019 in the 66 kilogram category. So he's a step up, right? 25 pounds heavier this time around, but made it again look relatively easy. He grabbed a couple submissions before having a couple tough wrestling matches, and he mentioned later on that that's something he's really been working on since his last try at ADCC, where he met Paulo Miao in the first round.
So Kenta Iwamoto of Japan, he beat Joseph Chen of B Team in the final, who is the teenager Joseph Chen, who a lot of people are very hot on because, well, they've seen the media coming out of the B Team and they've watched him rolling on YouTube, and everybody's talking about this kid. He's very, very good. But of course, Kenta had the answer for it, and he went out there and he was able to win. And you said that the takedown was a factor, the takedown skills, the wrestling was a factor. And Iwamoto, he mentioned this specifically in his post-match interview. Is that correct?
Exactly. And we got to see a lot of it in the semifinal against Joseph Chen, where he survived Joseph's wrestling up and then used a really sneaky little trip to put Joseph down and score the only 2.
Sorry, he beat Joseph in the semifinal, not the final. Correct. Yeah.
But then in the final, his wrestling came back and paid dividends for him. He fought a shot all the way off the mat and continued it when they recentered. Really demonstrated how much his wrestling has grown, and going to be a lot more useful at 77, I think, than it would have been at 66.
Very interesting. Well, we have a quick video with Kenta, another one of Sonny Brown's interviews. Take it away.
It's my second time going to ADCC. Last time I only did from bottom, but now I have wrestling and top game too, so maybe I can have versatility in my tactics. I think I'll do better than last time. So glad to be able to represent Japan and the Australia, Asian, Oceanian region. I'm very glad I can represent 77 kilos.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I just noticed his rash guard. Do you see what he has written on it? Meathead Jiu-Jitsu. I love that. I really do. Not sure I could pull that off, but credit to you, Kenta. And congratulations heading back to ADCC at a new weight class, 77 kilos this time. Do you want to highlight any of the other trials winners who stood out?
Bob Frias, the oldest man to win the the trials this time around. 32 years old going in. So
wow, I thought you were going to say,
Yeah,
when you say oldest man, I was like, damn, we got like a Masters 3 guy in there, like some 45-year-old guy. No, 32?
Bob had a couple of really hard-nosed matches. You could tell that his veteranship allowed him to stay in the game there, and he really capitalized, ran up the score on a couple matches. It just looked really tough and made all of the matches gritty, which exciting for us, maybe not as exciting for his opponents.
So just to recap, Jeremy Skinner at under 66, Kenta Iwamoto at under 77, Bob Frias under 88, Izaak Michell at under 99. Over 99 was, I've lost, Josh Saunders. Yeah.
Three submissions in 4 matches
Three
as well.
submissions in 4, that's pretty good. That's a run. And then there were 2 women's qualifiers as well. In the under 60 kilogram division, it was Adele Fornerino. And where's she from?
Adele is from Australia as well. She had another one of those 3 submissions in 4 matches, 3 on the way to the final.
Purple belt as well, right?
Brown belt.
Brown belt now. Oh, okay. So I think relatively fresh brown belt, because I remember seeing her competing as a purple belt not too long ago. But yeah, it seems to have some, I think that hunger that a lot of younger competitors need, right? Going into something like trials.
For sure. There's a little bit of a wanting it factor, right? It's the athletes who haven't been there, haven't seen the top of the top, definitely come in with a little bit more, a little bit less to lose and a little bit more to gain.
And then in the women's heavyweight division, over 60 kilograms, Nikki Lloyd-Griffiths, first match was only 5 seconds long. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. There you go. So 7 new competitors confirmed for ADCC in September at the World Championships. And you can watch all of the replays, interviews, and more highlights and such, of course, on FloGrappling. All right. Moving on, because so we started off with, as you can see on the side, the Asia and Oceania trials recap, but it's time to now start connecting the dots, because the trials are now over. The ADCC trials are done, and we're moving on to the World Championships in September. So we can now look at all of the competitors from that, as Corey said, 2021 to 2022 trials season, and we're able to rank them and to kind of look at their performances. But we're also we're able to really get a look at how these divisions have shaped out, because there are very few invites left, and it is a bit of a guessing game as to exactly who will take these invites. We have heard some rumors, we have a sense, but of course, it's not just about the invites. Looking at the divisions now, I believe that there's only 1 invite left in 66, 1 at 77, 2 at under 99, maybe 1 at over 99, and the women's divisions are full. But there's always a ton of injuries, pullouts, and, important to note, because Izaak was the one who first mentioned it, division changes as well, right?
Yeah, and those changes can create a little bit of gamesmanship in between teams, right? You have teams going in with, like the B team, 2 guys at 88 and a guy at 99. That game is crucial to figuring out how to optimize what the divisions might be for each team.
All chess pieces on a board moving around. Who's going to go where? Yeah, and I think the same thing is maybe true for some of these other teams as well, that could potentially, they could shift some guys from one weight class to another, especially if there's more than one person representing that team in a division. Well, I mean, that's pure speculation. We just don't know is the answer, but I'm sure we're going to find out soon. But I feel that now that the trials are confirmed, these last few invites should come very, very quickly. And we've been posting them as quick as we can. Every time somebody gets invited, we put it on our Instagram and such, and we update the running list. And I'm going to put this actually in the YouTube chat. This is the list of the official competitor list of who's in for ADCC 2022. So, what about these power rankings, Corey? What exactly are the power rankings?
So, the power rankings kind of take a look at the performances of each individual athlete who won the trials and their experience through trials. Now, it's not saying that, for example, Mika Galvao had a harder run than Jay Rodriguez. It's saying that based on these credentials, he had a more successful run among his field than J-Rod, for example, did among his field.
So the power rankings, you've basically ranked every single one of the ADCC trials winners from 2021, 2022, men and women together. You created a series of criteria that objectively ranks their performances. So this is no opinion in here. This is purely based on performance. So what were the criteria that you were looking at?
So number one criteria is submission rate. So the 6 that we listed earlier are the top 6 on this list. After that, it's the average match length, right? How quickly did they put their opponents away on average? Which again is what puts Mika up top. He had, I think, a total of 5 minutes of matches. After that, record, how many matches they have to win, and after that, it's points for, points against. So, we have a couple athletes on this list who've scored 40 or 50 points to 0 in their trials run.
Wow, that is incredible. So you feel then that this system here of having the submission rate, the average length of the matches, quick matches, obviously sort of, been an indicator of a better performance, the longer drawn out matches, that high scoring on the point system, and then points against, that this is the best metric to objectively rank these guys. So let's look at the top 10 right here. Number 1, Mika Galvao. Number 2, Gutenberg Pereira. 3, Roosevelt Souza. Ono Flanagan at 4, and then Jay Rodriguez at 5. So we've got 3 South American trials winners leading the way, followed by a European and a North American trials winner. Where do you think that Jeremy Skinner is likely to end up on this list? Because you mentioned he's going to be top 5 or 6, correct?
If my calculations are right, he'll be taking one step ahead of Owen O'Flanagan, and that's by a measure of seconds, of average seconds. I think his average time was 14 seconds less than Owen's.
2 leg lockers going for those quick kills.
That's right.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Interesting conversation. Personally, I love it. I love seeing it because it helps remind us of how these competitors won the trials. Because the truth is that a lot of time people win trials and they turn up at the World Championships and people kind of forgot how they get there. Oh yeah, he won trials. Well, how did he win trials? Did he have a great performance? Did he look amazing? Or did he just scrape through and he just about managed to get his way onto the big show, Maybe he won a 0-0 decision in the final. I feel like this ranking is very, very good for kickstarting that conversation. You can go back, you can look at their performances, you can see how many matches they had, how many submissions they scored, what their sub rates were. I know I'm going to be relying a lot on this during the commentary because there's some great stats on here, but really interesting exercise. And how many people in total then would be on this list?
43.
Wow, 43 competitors. Is that plus the 7 from Australia?
This is 43, including the 7 from Australia. The one that's published right now on the site is at 36, but by tomorrow morning, we'll be seeing all 43 on there.
Ranking master Corey Stockton, helping the world understand the value of going out there and putting on a great match because it gets you higher up those rankings. Hopefully grapplers take notice. Cool. So, I think that's probably enough now for the ADCC trials in Australia. As I mentioned, that you can go to the website, you can check out the official list of all competitors for ADCC in September. We'll be updating it with the trials winners shortly. And of course, it has all the invites and such on there as well. You can go back, you can watch the highlights, the matches, the interviews, and everything from the ADCC trials last weekend. So you can actually dig in and you can see how those performances, what they really look like and what their jiu-jitsu is like. Because we had some very different styles represented amongst the trials winners, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Not just, leg lockers versus top game players, but I mean, the styles vary dramatically, right? You can see who's prepared for the ADCC rule set, who's just winging it. It's all over the place, and it's great to see there's so many matches, not just from this trials, but from all of the trials. There has to have been at least 1,000 matches total.
And every single one of the ADCC trials for this last season, every single one of the ADCC trials, all in the world, were streamed here on FloGrappling. For the first time ever, you were able to watch every single ADCC trials event leading into the World Championships, and all in one place. Pretty incredible. All right, so let's move on, because I think what I'd like to talk about now is the Who's Next season finale. Well, we'll start off, I think, by talking about the last episode, because episode 5 came out last Wednesday. And Craig and Tim Spriggs, they ended up getting into it. Surprise, surprise. But after many weeks of filming and being in close proximity, tensions boiled over right at the end of the match between Jansen Gomez and Rene Souza. And, well, just take a look for yourselves.
And I was wrong with him. You kind of quiet right now. He took his arm home.
Hey, Tim, what happened to that 2 first matches?
2 for 2.
Tim,
don't question my fucking message.
Hey, if you want to talk shit, sign the contract. What are you afraid of?
There, bozo.
What
Why would
are
I want
you
to step down in
afraid of?
competition?
Take
Why
the
would I
match.
want to step down
Take
in
the
competition?
match.
I want your big homie who's faking being sick,
remember-
just like how you fake being sick, so you wouldn't have to fight who's number 1. You didn't want that Tyrell Tolo smoke. You didn't want Michael Guybao. And now you're sitting on the sideline being a comedian, fighting washed up MMA fighters.
They last longer than you. They last longer than you.
I was retired and I came out of retirement, took on the best of the best, and you would do shit.
You're retired. You're 30. You're 30 years
Don't talk
old.
to me about being the GOAT. Don't talk to me about you being number 1. You're not even the best guy in the division, motherfucker.
You've lost 30 times.
Don't matter, but I do gi and no gi. All you do is
You
no
lose.
gi.
You lose in gi and no gi.
No gi guy.
You lose
If I
in
did no
gi
gi
and
all
no
the
gi.
time, I would be the best.
Shut up, Tim. What the fuck, bro?
I go against anybody.
I apologize to any of you wearing headphones while listening to that, because it was, there was pretty loud, a lot of shouting, man. Tim Spriggs, Craig Jones, they genuinely don't like each other. They really, really don't. This was not put on for the cameras. And yes, Craig has been antagonizing Tim non-stop. She was constantly needling him throughout the whole show, right?
I mean, his T-shirt game is incredible. Right? I think he came in on the first day with the T-shirt that said Tim Spriggs is a bitch.
My bitch. Specifically, yes.
And
Yeah.
maybe the second day was accept a match, Timothy. So whoever's doing his T-shirts really deserves a raise.
Yeah, this is the big question, okay? So Craig Jones is basically saying to Tim, man, you haven't signed the contract yet. What's up with that? Are you going to sign the contract? Tim's claiming that he was retired, that he came out of action just so that he could win the Who's Number One championships, which he did, and he has competed again since. And Craig, lined up for ADCC. He's been busy as ever, a very prolific competitor, but I don't know if Tim wants that smoke.
It seems like he doesn't want it for one reason or another, right? Whether he's running from Craig or whether he thinks that he deserves a match that's a higher profile than Craig, I don't know. But Craig is about as high profile as they get right now.
I get it. Tim's the title holder, Who's Number One heavyweight champion, and I'm sure that he would like to defend that belt at some point or another. Maybe he doesn't feel that Craig Jones is a fitting candidate to be his opponent. But the fact is that you can't stay champion unless you defend that belt. So I'll have to see how things play out here. But definitely, as the headline below says, that war of words got very, very heated. And yeah, man, pretty loud. I definitely was touching the volume button on my control while I was watching that episode. But we got another episode coming up. We got the final episode of the season, drops on Wednesday, June 22nd. Is the 6th and final episode of this season of Who's Next, and we got a little video just kind of giving you an idea of what's coming up on that. Play the vid.
Next time on Who's Next.
I remember waking up to like loud noises, and then all of a sudden I was like, something's gonna happen.
Good morning, Cochinos! We're gonna make a game today!
Here we go, the final team challenge. You guys better go hard as fuck. Decides the semifinals. 3, 2, 1.
Hollywood Mike, Greg show up in his limo, ice cream paint job. The whole thing was out of this world. Lord, watch over us, protect these men going into the finals. We're going for the time of our lives, baby. Let's go.
Let's go, get it. And we taking over.
I'm gonna break Kyle out there. I'm gonna break him mentally and physically. I just can't wait to dominate this little dude, man.
Taking over. Whole world watch us taking over. Take over.
Jansen versus Izaak, the battle of the 2 number 1 picks.
Well, there you have it. So the trailer kind of gives it away a little bit, but doesn't spoil any results. But Yes, the semi-finals are set. They both happen in episode 6, the final episode of the show. Andrew Tackett versus Kyle Chambers. Izaak Michell versus Jansen Gomez. And just a reminder, of course, that the winners of those 2 semi-finals will face off in the WNX season finale on July 14th here in Austin, Texas. And also on that show is going to be Gordon Ryan versus Pedro Mourinho.
Can't wait for that. Yeah,
Can't wait.
That's a match, I guess, at this point, 3 years in the making, right? The last time they met, Pedro was a purple belt.
Yeah, ADCC 2019.
In the absolute division.
And since then, Pedro has, just absolutely established himself as a world-class black belt, double gold champion at the No-Gi World Championships last year, a host of credentials to his name, both gi and no-gi, and looks ready to show the world, who Pedro Mourinho really is on July 14th. But just a heads up as well, that of course, in addition to Gordon versus Pedro, and in addition to the winners of those 2 semifinals going head-to-head in the finale of the Who's Next series, we'll also have the undercard of that event will feature the cast members of the show. So all the guys who were eliminated at one stage or another through the various matches that we had, including the elimination matches at the very first episode, will be invited back onto the WNX season finale. A shot at redemption for some of these guys, an opportunity to further display their skills for the others. It's going to be really, really cool, and you can watch it all here on FloGrappling on July 14th.
Yeah, some of those guys in the elimination matches were short-lived, right? Would have loved to see what they could have done had they made it through the first match. So now we get a chance to see. They get a chance to prove that what happened the first time has changed them, and they're coming back as winners.
And some of them already have. Some of them already have proved that. I mean, Jay Rodriguez is the best example of that, because he didn't even make it onto the show. He lost in the elimination matches in the very first episode, and then he came on, of course, to win the ADCC trials and a bunch of other stuff.
He's
and
become a buggy choke master since then.
Exactly. So a lot has happened since we filmed the WNX series. But yeah, Who's Next? Submission Fighter Challenge presented by Tezos. The finale goes down on July 14th. You can watch it here on FloGrappling. So let's just recap some of the recent results that took place in the world of jiu-jitsu from the last couple of weeks, because there were a handful, and the first one we're going to highlight is EUG Promotions. Now, this event took place a couple of weeks ago now,
the EUG
we're going to run this now.
180-pound champion,
Sorry, if we've got the audio playing right
richer,
now,
Ronaldo Junior. You got to be happy after the victory.
Because, this show, EUG, the whole point was to run it right after Worlds, and to kind of utilize the best black belt talent, and to highlight them, because not everybody can win Worlds. You can only have one black belt champion per weight class, and the idea is there are many other black belts who are in great shape, and they're hungry after the tournament, and they want to show this stuff. And the EUG Promotions in Las Vegas, they've made this they've got this circuit, they've got this series where they host these 8-man GPs at different weights, both gi and no gi, with a 10 grand cash prize. So they called up some good guys for this.
Yeah, and I think maybe the number one guy we should talk about is Ronaldo Junior, who over the last couple of years has really done just about everything except for win Worlds, right? And he's got kind of the black plague of Tynan Dalpera hanging over him a little bit, but he's getting closer and closer to overcoming Tynan, and he proved that he is among the top in the middleweight division at 180 pounds with his performance here. Also, Levi Jones Leary, Manuel Hibamar. So the card was stacked, and Ronaldo came out on top.
And the final was Ronaldo versus Levi Jones Leary. Ronaldo won that one on points. He also had to he beat he also beat Shane Shapiro, and who else? Who was the other one that he beat? Was it Alexandre Jesus? Yes, it was. Yeah. ADCC Trials winner, Fight Sports black belt. Yeah. Well, we have a little video just highlighting the end of the match there with Levi Jones Leary, and an interview with our new commentator at FloGrappling and presenter Jake Watson doing his thing. So we'll hear from Ronaldo Jr.
I am here with the human highlight reel, the EUG 180-pound champion, $10,000 richer, Ronaldo Junior. You got to be happy after the victory.
Yeah, I feel blessed, I I'd like to thank everyone around me, my brother that come to coach me, my family, my team, Professor Galvão, Angélica, and oh my God. Yeah, I feel like, I work really hard for this, I work really hard to win Worlds and win this tournament. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the win last week, but right now I came and I won. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm just gonna, take a time right now to work on my techniques, to see everything that I did wrong, and to come better next time.
It's a rare display of emotion from Ronaldo Junior. You know him probably as one of the, he's got one of the best game faces in jiu-jitsu, he puts that on and he looks, just a man possessed, absolutely focused, really shows emotion before, during, or after his matches, but a special moment there.
Yeah, it seems like this victory was definitely heavy for him, right? In a tough bracket of tough guys, Ronaldo's done, as I mentioned before, just about everything except for win at all of the most recent high-level tournaments. So probably a little bit of a redemption, a little bit of validation to come out on top of this thing.
And $10,000 the richer as well. Very nice indeed. So that's EUG Promotions. That was the 180-pound black belt GP. And there were some cool super fights as well, featuring up-and-comers on that as well. You can go back, you can watch all the replays here on FloGrappling. Another event, we have something for the next one, the Andrew Tackett? No? Okay, but we wanted to mention it, didn't we, about how Andrew Tackett was the winner at the Emerald City Invitational qualifier that they hosted there. And what was the deal with that event?
Yeah, Emerald City had a grand opening for the gym. They had an in-house for their gym up there, which, as I heard, started out as just kind of an in-house tournament, but very quickly grew to a high-level EBI rules tournament, including guys like Kieran Kachuk, Andrew Tackett, Chris Wojcik. Pretty stacked event.
That's a pretty good lineup for basically an in-house tournament, but that's the power of the Emerald City brand, I guess. That Sam Michell of Emerald City Jiu-Jitsu, he's been hosting these events now for a while on the East Coast, and it's quickly grown to become one of the premier events in the region, and as you can see by the talent that they've been attracting. So Andrew Tackett won that one. He subbed Chris Wojcik, I want to say.
He subs Chris Wojcik, and he beat Kieran Kachuk in the final on ride time.
Wow, okay. Man, I want to go back and watch that one. I was on vacation last week, so I put a 100% ban on watching any jiu-jitsu while I was off, because I do that all day, every day, for every other day of the year. But I definitely want to watch that one, because Andrew Tackett, always entertaining. Kieran Kachuk, big fan. Really want to see that match, see how it goes. Cool. Well, let's wrap up the show, and we'll just talk about some of the upcoming events here on FloGrappling, of which there are many. And when you start us off, Corey, tell us what's coming up.
Yeah, Honor Submission Challenge in Italy on July 4th weekend, on July 3rd, including...
Let's take a look at the poster while we're talking about this.
Nogi tournaments, including Nogi matches, including Felipe Pena, Miki Galvão, Fabricio Andre, Wagner Rocha. So stacked card out there in Italy.
So this event is taking place on July 3rd. And Roger Gracie is the special guest, as you can see right there. And who is Felipe Pena going up against? Do we know? We don't have that information right now? No. It's not on their website?
It's not.
No. They're just selling the event based on the fact that Felipe Pena is competing. Okay. Yeah, I don't blame them. Yeah, he's a big name. I want to see it. But we can also get to watch Mika Galvão. I believe he's taking on Jed Hugh. And there's Fabricio Andre. Luis Paolo as well from Fight Sports. 3 Fight Sports Manaus guys. And Wagner Rocha as well. So, yeah, that should be a fun one. You can watch that one live here on FloGrappling. Felipe trying to get some warm-up matches, it seems, ahead of the match, ahead of the event, the no time limit match with Gordon Ryan on August 7th. I had to think about that for a second. We've got too many events coming up. Next one, let's highlight Midwest finishers. This is part of the Finishers Only event series, and tell us about this one, because this one's an interesting one. There's so many matches and big names on this one. We got some cool stuff for this, right?
Yeah, Midwest Finisher has 2 brackets, a women's 125-pound bracket and a men's 170-pound bracket.
They're going to get these belts. See, is it 155 or 170? That's the old belt. Yeah, okay, right.
But including DeAndre Colbray, we talked about him, but Kieran Kachuk coming back for this one, Max Hansen, Trinity Pun's on there in the women's bracket. These EBI-style tournaments always deliver, right? Chrissy Briggs, the women's 125.
Yeah, I'm seeing Jordan Holy in the mix there as well. It's a lot of recognizable names on that scene. And I got to say, I love these finishers events because they always, we've talked about it before, they're like a springboard for a lot of guys, right? To come through and to, if they press on here and they have good performances on these deep tournaments, they can often go on to kind of get some really good performances later on in their career. So as you mentioned, there's Max Hansen, DeAndre Corbey. He's been on fire lately. You also got Tad Cravens from Pedigo Submission Fighting, Kieran Kitchuk, Jordan Holy, Jet Thompson, David Garcia. Yeah, this is looking a lot of fun. Sid Tavalaro. Yeah, I like it. This is going to be a lot of fun indeed. Midwest Finishers. What date is that?
That'll be this weekend, June 25th.
This weekend. Don't miss that. And then, again, the July 4th weekend for you Americanians. But anybody outside, of course, it's just a regular weekend. A regular weekend with very good jiu-jitsu to watch. And on July 3rd, Sunday, July 3rd, the same day as the Honor going down in Italy, you also have Raw Grappling going down in London, and a new super fight has just been added to the lineup. Lucas the Hulk Barboza going up against Thomas Bratcher of the UK, the Gracie Barra black belt. And both these guys competed on the last Raw Grappling event. That was in November of last year. Bratcher and Hulk were both in the GP. They both had some really, really good matches. I want to say Bratcher had a great match with Yuri Simoes, if memory serves. And Lucas Hulk Barboza had a super fight against Jared Lubinsky. So yeah, interesting to see what happens when these two go up against each other in a super fight. I'm going to say, the one thing I'll give, of course, everybody knows that Lucas Hulk is one of the most durable, one of the most dangerous, and one of the most consistent competitors out there. Super pro, he's competed at and operated at the highest levels of jiu-jitsu now for years, since like 2015 when he got his black belt. And the thing I like about this match is that Bratcher is fearless, man. He'll go after him. He'll just meet him in the middle of the mat and they'll go head to head.
That always produces the best Hulk matches, one way or the other, right? When people attack the Hulk attacks back. Always exactly what we want to see. And Hulk's submission rate over the last year or so has really, really increased. So he'll be looking for a finish if I have to guess.
Well, that's it from today's show. Hope you enjoyed the little rundown of the ADCC trials in Oz and everything else that's been going on in the world of jiu-jitsu. More coming up next week, of course. We have another show next Monday. But we're going to play you out with this special video from the most recent Fight to Win, featuring AJ Agazarm in the main event. But this isn't about the jiu-jitsu. This is about something even better than that. AJ's nunchuck skills. We'll see you next week, but don't go anywhere before watching this video. See you later.
Baja, AJ Agazarm, a Nogi world champion.
Typical AJ faction coming out with the nunchucks.
And he does drop the nunchucks. A look of what would happen if I was trying to do that.